Good morning YouTube, welcome to Gamers Hub channel. In this video I'm going to give you my complete and honest review of Resident Evil 7. This review is unbiased. Now the Resident Evil 7 is also known as Biohazard, so let's start with the video. First let me say that I like horror games. Resident Evil games were awesome back in the 1990s when I used to play the PlayStation 1. However, most of their games lately haven't been that good.
Ethan, you were right. I did lie to you. I shouldn't have. All I can say is that if you get this, stay away.
However, let me tell you that this game is an exception to that. The game has a good intro and a game doesn't disappoint after you start playing it. Now as you can see in this video, you start the game as Ethan, who's looking for his wife. He receives a video about his wife and then he goes to look for her. Now this is the last time that you will see a sunlight in the game because the game is very dark, which is nice. Now let's talk about the gameplay, which is the heart of any game. The gameplay for this game is fantastic, and I was actually surprised in a good way. The story of the game was actually really good as well. It has a lot of twists, which I didn't see coming at all. But the weird thing is, this game reminds me a lot of Resident Evil 1 when it barely came out in PS1. I was actually shocked to see how good the game was. After playing Resident Evil 5 and 6, which were not a good games compared to the other games in the series. Now Resident Evil 7 is not an action game like you played in Resident Evil 5 or 6, which is nice. It played perfectly to its roots, which is a horror, game. But the most anticipated change after I played the demo, it was actually playing the game as a first person. Now let me clarify one thing. I have never been a big fan of first person view games. However, this game is different. And the reason why it's different, because it doesn't feel like a shooter game. Yeah, it has a lot of weapons that you can collect, but it's not basically the style of the game. It kinda reminded me of playing Outlast. That is another horror game as well. And it reminded me of Outlast just on the first person view. And I actually found the first person view to be actually enjoyable. And it's very tense, especially if you play the game in a dark room with the surround system. Now if you don't have a surround, just put some headphones. Make sure that all lights are off and you're just watching the game on a high definition TV. Now you will feel a different type of gameplay for the trust me. Try playing the first few hours and see how you like it. Now the game has a lot of weapons. Each weapon has its own unique style, and for example some weapons have more damage, recoil, or can hold more ammunition. Now the good thing about the game offers a very scarce ammo, so you don't feel to be overpowered with the weapons. Now one of the good things is that the game brought back boss battles in the game. Now most boss battles are very unique in the game, and I actually was very surprised and I actually enjoyed them. Now in the video you're watching a boss battle, and I would say that caught me off guard. And the reason why it caught me off guard, because I have been a big fan of boss battles in Resident Evil, which was Resident Evil 4. Now, one of the things about the Resident Evil that makes them different is having a unique puzzles. Now, the puzzles in this game are very simple. When I mean simple, are very simple to figure out. It's kind of boring. However, most puzzles matches to the game, so I understand their developers in that sense. They didn't want to go over the top with some of the puzzles, like in the previous Resident Evil games. For me personally, I would have preferred to have more complex puzzles and more challenging puzzles. For the remainder of the game, the pace of the story of the game is actually very good, except for the last final part. During that part, the game felt a little bit rushed and it doesn't match as well as the rest of it. It's kind of weird sense. Now let's start with the graphics. The game looks beautiful. Of course, it's gonna look the best on a PC compared to a Xbox One or PS4 Pro or even PS4 4, which is the regular version. Out of those platforms, the PC is gonna look the best. However, let me tell you that the PS4 Pro and the regular PS4 support HDR gaming, and it makes a huge difference. I'm not sure if the Xbox One support But if you play a PS4 with HDR and another one without the HDR, you will see the difference. Now the graphics look sharp even if you're playing in a non-HDR. Now it's not the best game graphically, but I'm telling you it's very good. I would say that it beats most of the games nowadays. On a cons, now I play Resident Evil 7 on an OLED high definition TV and the game looks amazing. Even better when everything was turned off. Now another thing that I want to mention is the sound department. Now sound is not just the music. Sound, in my opinion, also includes dialogue in the game. The dialogue in the game is very surprising and it's actually really good. It kind of reminded me of The Last of Us. Not in that high level dialogue, but it actually holds. Let's be real, more Resident Evil 7 games do not have any good dialogues. However, this game is an exception. Most characters feel that they are their own, and they add value to the game. Now I don't want to spoil you the story of the game, but just let me say it without spoiling, of course. Let me say that basically that each character had its own story and it sounds different, they talk different, and you can actually see the contrast of each boss or both characters. Just let me tell you one tip. If you don't have a surround system when you're playing in dark, just plug some headphones and you will see the difference. And I'm no sorry, and you will hear the difference, which is always very nice. Now, one of the things that I like to mention is how game holds its own, after you beat the game. Does it have a lot of value, that holds over time? Now, let me say this. The game kinda lacks replayability. However, still has a lot of options. First, the big plus is that you can actually play in different modes and each mode has its own system. For example, you will be able to find different items on different locations for each different game setting. For example, you can find a handgun in a different room during normal, but when you're playing in the most challenging mode, which is Madhouse, the same handgun is gonna be located in a different place. I actually like that option because it kinda feels like you're playing different games in that sense. Now, second is that the game has a lot of collectibles, so you will be able to collect a lot of items, pictures, notes, and even better, you can actually watch a lot of VHS tapes. Now, the VHS tapes basically put you in hold, and actually you can play some of the characters that are shown in those videos. Now, without spoiling anything, I thought this was a fantastic idea to implement into the game. And another thing is there's already DLC content for the game, which is always a nice, it's always a nice addition to the game. Now we know that DLC is not free. However, it gives you that option, if you're gonna get more gameplay game, you have that option available. Instead of waiting around 6 to 9 months to have another DLC, which is kinda a little bit disappointing in some games. However, Resident Evil 7 is different too. Also, you have the option to play the game with the VR headset. Now the VR headset and the gameplay is very different than the regular gameplay. And let me tell you, I'm not a big fan of VR games because it feels a little bit weird to be playing the game for long periods of time. But in this game, it's actually very nice. However, in my case, I didn't completely play the game that way. It's not because the game looks bad in that sense. It's just because I'm not used to having a VR headset. And actually, I started feeling dizzy after about 2 or 3 hours to play the game that way. And I would say that you play the game that way and then you get an idea how it looks. In a sense, the VR gameplay adds a lot of value. Now let me tell you the bad things. This game doesn't have a lot of replayability in a sense of having an online mode. And what I meant in a sense, it means that you are only basically going to play only the game, different modes or DLC content. At this time, it doesn't have any online system, which is kind of disappointing. The online system would improve the game quite a bit, in my opinion. And actually, I was surprised because I didn't expect to have this game without any online components. Now, for my final thoughts of the game, this game is actually fun to play. I would recommend to buy the game, or even if you're not a fan or you don't like horror movies, try to play the game. Now, if you don't have any money to buy the game, go and rent. Trust me, it's gonna bring a lot of surprises. Now, I'm not hesitant to say that you should try the game and to play it at all costs. This actually was a really fun game. I have beaten the game at least 4 times, and there's a lot of things that the game got right. There's quite a few things that feel a little bit rushed now, or some of the features are missing. However, let me rephrase it. This is a great game, even with all the letdowns. And I'm gonna give you basically my score. This game is gonna receive an 85 out of 100, and it's actually a really good game. Now, of course, there's not a lot of games during January, but this game gets the game of the month. And I'm actually glad that the 2017 year is starting on a good note for video games. That's a nice sign to see what's coming up for the remainder of the year in the terms of video games. Well, that is going to be everything for today, my friends. Subscribe to the Gamers Hub channel for future reviews, news, or even unboxing of any technology or games. Leave a comment in the comment section and let me know what is your favorite Resident Evil game. Please like this video if you liked it. Thanks for watching and have an excellent day, friends. Take care.
Where? Where am I? What the hell?
Rise and shine, sleepyhead. It's time for supper.